Hi, I'm Jim,
And I'm Hisham. And
and this
this
is the
is the
Quantumly Elite
Quantumly Leap
podcast.
podcast.
The world is changing, and it's changing by the speed of light.
And people can barely cope with the extreme speed of changes nowadays.
So we decided to start a podcast that talks about everything that's changing.
Topics that are current and very relevant,
Topics like the effect of COVID-19 on the world,
or how technology and artificial intelligence is changing the face of the world,
or the topics of ethics in business,
ethics in AI.
and many topics that are important and current.
So tune in soon to our podcast.
Yeah, so Hisham and I met about 3 years ago, and we have been discussing a number of topics um, that we found are very pertinent and current in today's society.
Yeah, you know what? A lot has changed during these 3 years, right? I mean, like, I didn't expect to see all of this happening in just a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, even what the current situation we're involved with. I mean, literally right now, we are all in self isolation
Well, that's,
because usually Shem and I.
yeah, that's why we're doing this over the internet because we were supposed to do that in a studio.
A very nice studio, I asked, that I had found and we had actually done a tour on. So it was a very nice studio, ladies, and you'll see it soon enough.
But because of the current situation and because of the social responsibility that we feel, we both are self isolating and we just decided to give you an idea about what's happening. So we're doing that over the internet. But soon enough, hopefully, this is going to change. Can you tell us, Jim, how this is going to happen?
Well, eventually we have a studio here in downtown Toronto, here very close to where I am, and it's a top-notch recording studio by that the Toronto Public Library offers, and it is a nice space, and we'll have all the state-of-the-art equipment to use, and even a green screen and all that. So it's going to be exciting, and we're really looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, Hisham and I have been talking via phone here for the past 5 days to do this self-isolation, and we quickly realized that maybe instead of waiting for 3 weeks to go to the library to use these fantastic services, that we were going to do this over the internet, and I'm excited that we both agreed to do that.
Yeah, and for the time being, it's going to be both of us talking about these very current and very important topics. But in the future, we might have some guests that we might actually have a conversation with or interview during our podcasts.
Yeah, there we both of us have some very interesting communities that we have access to, and many of the individuals have already asked us already to join our podcast. So we've done some promotion of this, and I look forward because again, there's some amazing minds out there and expertise, and I've had the great option to listen to a guy like named Zachary Limpton, who's here in Toronto from the University of Carnegie Mellon University here a couple of months ago, talking about machine learning, and I was blown away. It was something new for me. So again, people like that, and Hisham has also some great people that he has spoken to as well.
Yeah, and I think the exciting thing about our podcast is that we both come from different backgrounds. Like Jim, you are into marketing and networking and that realm, and I'm from the realm of technology. But we still have found a way to communicate, and through film and media, where we met, we found
Yeah.
all of that. And I think talking about these topics from these kind of views is very important, right?
think it is, and just to touch upon Hisham and I started a media company together, and we've had a chance to cover some amazing events the past 3 years, and we'll talk about that further. But at the end of the day, is for me as a networker, from my end of the point, to find those collaborative partners, which I've had over my career, has been a huge strength, because there's certain things that I'm not good at, and I was excited to become that world-class reporter, and it was interesting. I learned a lot very quickly, and I've come a long way in doing so. We've had some fantastic interviews we've done, and we have many here that are going to be coming online very soon. So for me, I've sort of upgraded my skill set, and it's affected all parts of my life, and even other areas, which I'm doing. I'll share a funny tidbit. Hisham assisted me in doing a infomercial 2 weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun. And I used my editing skills, which I am not an editor to say, but Hisham gave me a little crash course. He directed me in the right direction for some editing software, and I did my own infomercial. So I wouldn't have did that 3 years ago. There's no way I would have had the confidence to do that. So there's a little example of what I have done.
Yeah, and I think it's important to tell our audiences that both have been participating in the PodCamp Toronto for a couple of years right now. We have been introduced to fantastic people in the podcast community. You and I have done a lot of sessions this year and through the past years. And I believe this is our time now. We have helped a lot of podcasters improve their skills and do a lot of these things, and we intend to continue helping that, whether by going to PodCamp or even help them through training sessions or anything like that. So I believe also because technology, right? Everybody's putting their podcasts over the internet, and and behind that there's the AI algorithms that that analyzes that and puts and decides what's trending and what's not. We've been a very good resource, I believe, from my technology point of view, from my side, and from networking. And how can I say that? It's like how to like from the human side, like how to be a better person and podcaster and connect with people. I believe that this is also a very important part and a value that we will also offer during our podcast.
Yeah, and just to dovetail, I mean, like I said, I've been a part of PodCamp for 2012, but the last 4 years have been very special. We've met some very talented individuals, and part of why this podcast has really happened is that we've been discussing this for a while, but after the most recent PodCamp, it just became very clear that there's definitely space to share, and I felt that the insights that Hisham brings and I bring have crisscrossed, and I think it's a powerful story to share. That to find those as a networker and a connector, to find those collaborative partners. So I'll share one more funny story. I hope Hisham's okay with this. So Hisham is a big reader, and he always has a book with him when we meet. Well, he had this book called The Weapons of Math Destruction over the past few months. And let me tell you this, Joe, I'll be brutally honest with you. Most of the books I read, I would never read. No offense to Hisham Kadomi's taste of books in any form, asterisk. But the covers of some of these books, ladies and gentlemen, are just unbelievable. Like he had one reading called Targeted. It was a what do you call that? What do you call that thing that you pull the pin?
The
grenade, and it said targeted on there. So this one here was called The Weapons of Math Destruction. It had a really great cover, and I said, okay, so I use the library, so I borrowed it from the library and I read it in about 5-6 days, and literally my whole concept of what Hisham was talking about got changed, because there was a lot of topics, and one of the topics that was insightful for me was the employment and the algorithm and the online. And for me, I'm a big learner. One of my 3 pillars is learning. And so I jumped the fence and I said, all right, now this makes sense. And most recently, I found some other books, and I was showing the covers of some of these books that I've located recently. And Sean's going, Lost the Signal. There was one I showed you, Lost Signal, the BlackBerry story I shared, and all that. So part about that is to dovetail now into back to more serious things. Is I'm a learner and I want to learn, and so I think it's important to read. Readers are leaders, and I've read biographies. I'm reading a fiction book right now, and after that, I'm finishing a book on the myth of capitalism. So we bring both those insights, and I think it's important to do that. I've been an avid networker, and I currently have gone out networking and doing things that I feel outside my scope, and it was a little nerve-wracking, but I learned a lot about something that I've not known about. And this is where the podcast comes in, is we get to share specifically on a topic like ethics in AI. Sham's writing something about that. I'm ethics in business, ethics in negotiation. So the topics are, so we're excited to share that. And I think that it's something that our audience, I believe, will find of interest.
Yeah, and I believe, as you said, reading is very important, but unfortunately, it's a very busy life, and people cannot cope in a lot. Which is, I believe, like podcasts like this are very important because whatever we read, whatever we have, we can share with the world. And if they cannot read, at least they have an awareness of what's going on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if some books specifically that we talk about, or a topic that we talk about, they can pick up a book and read about it, at least to know that something about that exists in here. And I think this is a very, very good value that our podcast is going to provide to the community, because it's way too much information. There's way too much thing about there, and there is more misinformation than real information. I think balancing that out and giving the right information in the hands of people is very important. So
Yeah.
I think we have talked a lot. I don't want to spoil that. I
Yes.
want the people to tune into our podcast. So
Yes.
any last words from you, Jim?
Well, first of all, again, we just want to give you sort of a little bit of an idea of what we want to talk about, and I hope you can tune in to Quantumly Leap podcast here with our first session coming soon. Thank you.
Yeah, and also tune on to our blog. It's blog.hqmedia.ca. We will be announcing everything. We will let you know where we are publishing our podcast. It will probably is going to be on most of the common podcast platforms. We're gonna let you that, but keep on following us. Go to our blog, go to our website hqmedia.ca. We're also gonna publish our new podcast site for you soon. So follow us, keep up with us, and we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.